at the weekend, I was at a family wedding, and we drove for many, many hours. And during that time, my sound system in my car was hijacked by two teenagers playing Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar and Dave and all those people, which was an eye-opening trip down hip hop drill music. I'm thinking that's the right terminology. Anyway, eventually I got to listen to some of my podcasts, and I found some really good ones that were all about the benefits of a healthy lifestyle. So I wanted to share them, or share what I've learned with you, and basically how that can affect your weight management and other areas of your life. So basically, the intention for this really short live is just to give you some information that could improve parts of your life too. So first of all, a couple of statistics. The UK, obviously I'm from the UK, so this is a UK-based bit of information, is about 10 years behind the US when it comes to health statistics. So we don't currently have the same obesity rates as they do in the States, but these figures are on the rise. At present, we have 25% obesity in this country. That's a statistic that I took from this podcast. If you want to know what podcast it was, please let me know and I'll send it to you. And therefore, I feel we do need to have a major shift in our culture if we're going to decrease that statistic rather than it grow higher and higher and higher, like you would have in America. Now, as a species, it's been found that we are getting larger, but we still have the same frames. And basically, these kind of changes don't come down to just one factor, but really a mixture of factors. And the lady doctor that I was listening to at the weekend on the podcast is a lady called Sue Keneally. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. She's a weight management specialist, so she definitely knows her stuff. And she's found there is a tendency for people to emotionally overeat, basically eat for any other reason that isn't for health and for hunger. And a lot of the time when people emotionally eat is because they are feeling like they're in pain, or they're feeling really low or tired or stressed, as an example. And what can then happen, and put a comment or put some love hearts if you feel this too, you can end up starting to see food as a drug, and it becomes a real addiction, which predominantly this addiction is predominantly focused on processed, refined foods. And these types of foods have a tendency to help you gain weight because they're designed to be really tasty. They're really easy to overconsume. And then in turn, that can lead to a really unhealthy relationship with food. So food for many people can be like a drug. It can numb all kinds of negative emotions and it's not until you break that cycle that you can try and stop that. So I recommend looking for a program that you can follow that has accountability with other people doing exactly the same thing as you. I follow and have coached people through a program called 30 Days to Healthy Living, which is phenomenal in this area. So if you are looking for a program for that real accountability, please ask about that program. It's great. So you really want a program that's designed to change somebody's habits to ones that are healthier and more sustainable. Now, in terms of the foods that I would recommend to somebody to start eating to maintain a healthier weight, hands down, it is plant-based foods. So the more plants that you can eat, the better. That's my dog making a funny noise down there. Because one of the biggest things that can help you manage weight in a more effective way is to eat less energy-dense foods. So these are foods that are very high in calorie content in relation to their weight. So, for example, if you have a very sedentary lifestyle and you consume too many energy-dense foods, this can contribute to you gaining weight. So energy-dense foods include things like sweets, deep-fried foods, pasta, crackers, crisps, chips, starchy vegetables, really thick sauces, cheese, nuts, and seeds. Now, not all of these energy-dense foods are really bad for you, but you should definitely watch your portion size when you eat them. so you avoid weight gain. In other words, energy density is just basically how much energy there is, how many calories there are per mouthful of food that you eat. And the lower the energy density, the better. Whereas if you eat things that are very high in energy density, like the ones I already mentioned, you're going to be consuming lots of calories per mouthful. They're not going to fill you up very fast, so you're going to be consuming more of them before you really start to feel full as well. So when you opt for simple plants, things like your fruits, your veggies, your legumes, and a small amount of nuts and seeds, because these are also plants, but they contain quite a lot of calories in those, you're going to be eating lots of fiber, and you're going to be taking on board lots of water, which both are going to help you to feel fuller for longer and are going to help you to achieve better results in terms of weight management. I personally always recommend eating lots and lots of veggies, lots of plant-based foods alongside meat and fish, if you do eat meat and fish, to get as many whole food plants in it as possible alongside other forms of food if you eat those. People also, in terms of the calorie intake that people have, most people need between 1,800 and 2,500 calories, depending on their age, weight, their gender, their levels of activity and movement, and also rest as well. So the actual amount of calories are going to vary from person to person. So the program that I recommend that people follow, the 30-day program, on that, we don't count calories. And I highly recommend that you don't count calories if you're predominantly eating a plant-based diet. A lot of people can get themselves a little bit over concerned about calories. I find there's a lot of things out there that you really focus on calories, and unless you are actually going for toning and you really want to tone down and focus on your macros, if you consume the right amount of fruits and veggies every day, you're actually going to be consuming exactly the amount that your body needs, because our bodies are very sophisticated and they can literally get you to within 10 to 20 calories of what your recommended daily intake is based on your body's intuition, if and only if you're eating a lot of plant-based whole foods. So with calorie counting, that also implies that all calories are equal. And that doesn't strictly hold true from the research that I've done recently. Calorie counting can have a part to play. And yes, calories are equal in terms of calories. However, eating 500 grams of chocolate is totally not the same as eating 500 calories of fruit. Because even though they both contain probably quite a high amount of sugar, studies have found that processed foods, to any food that isn't in its whole food plant form, are going to change your epigenetics. Now, epigenetics, I've recently discovered, is the study of how your behaviors and the environment can cause changes that are going to affect the way your genes work. So unlike genetic changes, these epigenetic changes are reversible and they can be changed. Some studies have shown that, as with many of our genes, like our height, our weight, our eye color, not our weight, sorry, our height, our eye color, our hair color, those kind of things, those types of genes cannot be changed. But the genes that regulate our weight, you can switch them on and off. So the ones that tend to make you gain weight, you can turn them on or off. And then the ones that help you to lose weight, again, you can turn them on and off. And the best way to switch all of the good genes on that help you to manage your weight in a really effective way is to focus on eating whole food, plant foods, and eliminating inflammatory foods. So eating 1,000 calories of chocolate ice cream is more likely going to switch on all of the genes that tend to help your body gain weight. Whereas if you ate 1,000 calories or 1,000 grams of veggies, might be probably be a little bit boring, but it's going to switch on all of the good genes that help you to manage your weight better. The other thing that we have to think about as humans are that we are controlled by our pleasure centers in our brains. And eating refined processed foods will turn on your pleasure center hugely. And that's what these types of foods are designed to do. And the epigenetic effects here mean that your genes that favor weight gain will tend to really stimulate these pleasure centers and really turn them on. So this is the same for food. but it's also the same for if you were, your pleasure centers were controlled by gambling, or whether you were kind of addicted to exercise or alcohol. But in terms of food, you can overeat and override your intuition when you eat the processed foods. So if you ever walk past a bakery, you'll understand what I mean here. But the urge to maybe go and have a chocolate croissant, and I never eat those types of things, will be, well, not never, but I very rarely, is really high. And that's because the pleasure circuit in your brain is going to completely override your appetite and decide that it absolutely loves eating chocolate croissants and it wants to do more of this. So the smell of them is going to attract you to buy those items. But eating whole foods, not only will they help with the turning on the weight management hormones for genes, rather, for lowering your weight, they're also really, really great whole foods for helping your microbiome. And if you couple that along with a great pre and probiotic and digestive enzyme supplement, and I do use an amazing one that I recommend to everybody, all of that good bacteria that lives in your tummy is really going to flourish with this kind of food and the extra fiber, and you're going to feel amazing, because your gut health, if you follow any of my gut videos, you'll see that your gut health is literally linked to everything. So other factors that can affect your weight gain are, or weight management are, reducing stress and increasing sleep. So getting enough sleep and managing your stress levels is so important when it comes to regulating your hormones, because when your body is stressed or when your body is tired, it's really easy for your hormones to adapt in favor of weight gain. So definitely try to get enough sleep. That's something that I have most of my life, I've never wanted to go to sleep because I've always thought it was boring and a complete waste of time. But now I get it. And it's so important to get at least 7 or 8 hours of sleep. Well, it is for me anyway. Not drinking your calories at every meal is another good one to remember. So if you are using smoothies or protein shakes, that kind of thing, one thing to remember here is, yes, they are really good. Hi. They are really good to have. But what I would recommend to you is that you have something to chew or eat alongside the smoothie. And that's because it's going to activate your chewing trigger, which is really important for your body to know when you're full. And also the good genes as well that we just talked about. So some things that you could use would be things like your celery sticks and almonds. That's a great snack to have with a protein smoothie. Also, some nut butter on some green apples is really, really good as well. I can just see my spray tan, not spray tan, my kind of tan that I put on is coming off there. I need to redo it. Anyway, I digress. Also, another reason for not drinking your calories is because you can basically drink really fast things like fruit juices, fizzy drinks, all those kind of things, and they are super high in calories. But because you're not chewing anything, because you're just drinking it, your body's not going to notice that you've consumed it, and you're going to drink more and more calories, way more than you need to. But green tea, on the other hand, is an amazing drink. And I'm very fortunate to have something called a fizz stick. You've probably seen it on my stories, talk about them a lot because I'm a big ambassador for them. And the fizz sticks have green tea in them. That's why I'm saying it. And the green tea is known as a fat binder because green tea has the same chemical in it that some of the products that you buy in a pharmacy also have, which help you to absorb fat. So if you drink, or I recommend drinking green tea, or a fizz stick is even better, with your meals, because you're naturally going to absorb less fat than if you didn't add that one ingredient. So that's a great tip, really simple tip to add on. I've got 2 more tips for you and then I'm done for the evening. The next one is batch cooking. So a great way to remain really, really healthy is to have really good food in your fridge or freezer that you've made from scratch, that's really easy and fast to reheat. So a great hack here is, when it comes to eat healthy eating, make sure you've got loads of really good quality recipes that you can easily make, that are really simple, that are really tasty, that you can batch freeze or put in the fridge. So that if you're in a rush, you're not going to grab that refined carbohydrate type of thing that is a really quick fix, because half an hour later you're going to be hungry again. And at some point in everyone's life, stuff happens, right? And life happens, and it's far easier to manage if you are prepared. Just like the Scouts, say, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. That's what they say. I firmly believe that's what you should do. Always, always be prepared so you can be healthy most of the time. Again, the program that I recommend people to follow and that I coach people through is amazing for that, because you do get loads of recipes that are really easy to make. The program is really accessible and it's really easy to fit in anyone's lifestyle, and it's really simple to do. So whole plant foods that are high in fiber and low in density and high in water, just to sum up, really are the best foods to consume on a daily basis, along with the smaller amount of good fats, like your nuts and your seeds, or if you're eating meat and fish, those kind of fats. Please go for eating as few processed and refined foods as possible, and focus on good gut health and nutrition by adding in nutrition supplements. So I take lots and lots of supplements every day, and I do believe that by taking those, I'm being the healthiest version that I can be, because you can't get as many nutrients from fruits and veggies as you could many, many years ago. So that's really going to help you to improve your sleep. It's going to help you to balance your hormones, and drinking enough water is key to staying hydrated for your body to function optimally. I don't know if you saw my hydration talk a few weeks ago, but our body is made up of something ridiculous like 80% water. So we have to drink water to function properly. And then the last thing that I wanted to share with you that is important, and it's a really simple thing, but a lot of people don't do it, is your environmental design. So with weight management and health, with our current food culture, we are surrounded, especially in the Western world, with processed foods. They're super prevalent. You can literally go anywhere, and most of the supermarket, for example, will be full of processed foods. There'll be a small section of fruits and veggies. The rest of it is all in packets. That's how we live now. So we are surrounded by it. So it's very difficult not to pick up those foods. But there have been studies that have proved now that in the UK, 55% of our calories come from ultra processed foods. So my goal is to kind of educate people as much as possible so that you transition away from that type of lifestyle, to really share the benefits of healthy eating. I find it really is simple to do, but it is also hard because not everyone's doing it. So you do feel a bit of pressure not to do it. But I guarantee when you start eating healthier, when you start improving your nutrition, when you start taking supplements as well, you're going to feel amazing, and you'll wonder why you never did it years ago. One example of environmental design is Google. So at Google, for all of their staff, they put on their shelves, they have lots of like snack shelves. On the top shelves, they put all of the kind of unhealthy stuff. So it's really, really hard to reach. It could be no good for me. I'd never be able to reach the high stuff. So I'd only be able to reach the healthy stuff. And down below, they put all the healthy stuff. And most people are hardwired to do the easy things. So when they go into the snack cupboard, they're going to go for the healthy option because it's easy for them to grab rather than kind of have to climb up and get the unhealthy one. So that's something that you could do at home. You could remove all the things that are bad for you, that you eat when you're hungry, or you eat when you're tired, or eat when you're stressed. Take them away, leave them in the supermarket, and only go and get them on the odd occasion, and then you can't have them. That's a great tip, because we really are bombarded every single day by so many different adverts that are for ultra processed foods, and that's either consciously or subconsciously. So there are many reasons why weight management issues are on the rise in the UK and around the world. So I trust that tonight you have found a few tips that you can implement into your life. If you want to rewatch this video, please do. If you want for me to send you any of the podcasts that I listen to that will back up all of this information that I've talked to you about, let me know and I'll send you that. And I hope and trust that this has been really useful to you. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening.